All right. Well, Jim, before we wrap things up, let's play a few games. We got some programs here.
Uh-oh.
These are programs. These may be tough. Of course, guess the program. I will talk about a card that is listed in a program from my collection I have in my hand. Jim will do his best to guess the town, the date, and I guess that's it. The town and the date. Are you ready, Jim?
I am ready.
All right, let's start with this first one. The first event, Black Gordman versus Richard Blood. The second event, Captain Frank Dusek versus Wild Bill Irwin. The third event, there is a title on the line, but I will not name it due to it giving away something about the show. Bugsy McGraw versus Jose Lothario. The co-feature, Kevin Von Erich and the Spoiler versus King Kong Bundy and Arman Hussein. The main event for the World Heavyweight Championship, Ric Flair of Minneapolis, 240 pounds, versus Kerry Von Erich of Lake Dallas, 260 pounds. And for some reason, there is one photo of him doing like a Sig Heil. I don't know why they're using this one. And then the co-feature, Al Madrill versus the Great Kabuki.
Well, I knew this was Texas after the second match with Frank Dusek and Bill Irwin. The year has to be 1981 because it would be, if Flair was the champion, and I think it would be the late in 1981 because he didn't win the title until, September?
Yeah, why are you stuck on 81? Why not 82 or 83?
Because I think this is very early because Arman Hussein was still in Dallas. So was Jardine. And Hussein is wrestling, whereas later on they took him out of the ring and it was him and Gary Hart, H&H Enterprises, right? And they were co-managers.
That's right.
And also, would this have been late 1981? Because did not Bugsy McGraw go to Dallas right after he left Memphis? So yeah, we're in the Dallas territory. It could be Fort Worth. It could be Dallas. It could be. Well, at that time, I don't think it would have been anywhere but Dallas or Fort Worth. Late 1981.
You're very, very close. It is Friday, April 23rd, 1982.
God damn it.
Now, I'm going to give it to you when you say the Dallas territory, because it is technically, but that's one of the things that makes this an interesting program. 1982, at the Joe and Harry Freeman Coliseum.
San Antonio,
Texas.
And you did the reverse to me the other day when you had the program from the San Antonio office, but they were running in Houston opposition to Paul Bosch.
And here's Fritz going into San Antonio, where they used to use his talent, running against Joe Blanchard. So everyone's just running against each other.
Everybody wanted to take over San Antonio, and nobody drew a dime in the last 50 years there.
This is the association official program, the match the wrestling world wants the most. The showdown will be here Friday, May 7th. Fritz versus Kabuki. Why has Fritz Von Erich been a box office champion throughout most of his career? Because he has the talent. Because he has mastered the Iron Claw. And because he has the vast ring experience. All of the above are true. But
also because he owns the company.
But the bottom line is that Fritz is a winner. A man who can out-wrestle and out-rough the best of them. Well, that's that program. Jim, our next program. The opening match. One fall, 30-minute time limit. Dale Wayne versus Victor Costello.
Okay.
The second match. Al Leclerc versus Joe Meich.
Wait, spell that last one.
M-A-I-C-H. I may be mispronouncing that. I'm not sure.
Okay.
The next match, 2 out of 3 falls, 45-minute time limit. Buck Masters versus, it says here Lewis Klein, but it's Lou Klein.
Lou Klein. All right. I finally heard of somebody.
And the main event, 2 out of 3 falls, 60-minute time limit. Miguel Torres versus Bert Ruby.
Well, we're in Michigan. Bert Ruby's wrestling. Lou Klein is on the card. Both of them were older than dirt. Lou Klein's mother charged the Light Brigade. He was so old.
Why do you got to insult his mother? You could have just insulted him and said he was so old.
Well, then I would have been accusing him of gay relations with the Light Brigade.
You don't get wrestling history talk like this anywhere else, folks.
Oh, that's got to be the 40s. And we're in Michigan somewhere. I got no other clue.
You know, I'm actually trying to find a firm location here, and that's the only thing I don't have. You know, like these old programs, they list the streets and then they have the phone numbers with the first 2 initials, but they don't actually say where. I believe this is, if not Detroit, it is Michigan. December 11th, a Tuesday, 1945.
Boom. There you have 4 days after, well, no, that was 41. So I said 4 years and 4 days after Pearl Harbor Day.
Here's a note from inside this program here. By the way, the lucky number is A4508. So if they call this one, we won something.
Bingo.
Oh, 2 tickets to any future event. That's a good deal.
So what's the name of the building they're in?
Fairview Presents. I mean, I'm not saying that's the name of it. Mac at Fairview. I'm guessing it's the Fairview.
I have not heard. This has to be some kind of small spot show. But it was in Michigan, obviously.
When intermission rolls around and hunger comes to you, then buy a red hot dog. It's good and filling too. But here's what it says about tag teams, a tag team match. There are 2 wrestlers to a team. Only 2 wrestlers start the match with the referee tossing a coin to decide the initial competitors. The 2 wrestlers who do not start the match retire to a corner outside the ring, each holding a short rope attached to the ring post. Again, I want to just reiterate, this is 1945. When one of the... Go ahead.
I was just going to say the first tag team wrestling match that ever took place in Louisville, Kentucky, and it's in one of my books that I'm trying to... I think it was 1943 with the Welch brothers. The tag team wrestling was new at that point in a lot of places, and people didn't understand it. They had to explain it.
When one of the starting wrestlers appears in trouble and is close enough to his partner so that the latter can reach his hand without entering the ring and still maintain hold of the rope, he may then be relieved in the ring by his partner, while he must leave the ring and take up the original place of his teammate outside the ring. Both members of a team must be pinned to constitute a fall, and in most matches, the best 2 of 3 falls decides the winning team. According to the rules, it is important that the man outside the ring must not touch any other part of his partner's body except his hand.
Boom!
In order to make himself eligible to enter the ring and replace his teammate.
Boom!
I didn't know that.
Wait a minute. Oh, that's not
the wrong one. No,
I thought I had a bomb on here. Yeah. And here's another thing that delineates an interesting early rule that was later on judged to be unwieldy and got in the way, that to win a fall, both guys needed to be pinned. That went away fairly quickly because you were eating up a lot of finishes and it was difficult to carry off.
It stayed in Lucha, right?
Well, and that was you either pinned, both guys or pinned the team captain, one or the other, right? If it was a 6-man. But the point is, it didn't last long in this country. It didn't happen everywhere in the United States when they introduced tag wrestling, and the places it didn't last long because it was unwieldy and hard to get the point across.
All right, Jim, our next program I have here, I'm going to leave off the opening match because it wasn't on the program. It was written in by someone.
Okay.
And it'll give away everything. But there is no TV for this championship card,
No TV.
which according to the note here drew 10,000, that can't be right, 10,527 people. At least that's what I assume the person is saying was the attendance.
it could have been $10,527. When we figure out where it is, I'll tell you which one I think.
Jane Sherrill lost to Lita Merez. The Alaskan lost to a substitution, Pedro Morales. I'm not certain on that because the way it's written, I think it's Morales, but I'm trying to double check here. I believe it's Pedro Morales. Ray Stevens and Rocky Montero versus Los Medicos of Mexico. A Texas death match, Pepper Gomez lost to John Tolis, and the main event for a championship I will not name. Well, actually, no, well, it's an interesting thing here. Both men are champions in this match. Freddie Blassie versus Bobo Brazil.
Okay, well, it's the Los Angeles territory. But not necessarily the Olympic Auditorium in Los Angeles. I think you're trying to fuck with me.
It is the Olympic. I'm not going to make...
Is it the Olympic?
I can see why you think I would fuck with you, but I'm not going to here.
Okay, well, I can see why everybody thinks that you'll fuck. Well, in that case, if it's the Olympic, that was 10,527 fans, and I'm going to give the year...
And you know what? Now that we said the Olympic, I'm going to give you one more clue. Freddie Blassie is listed as the America's champion. Bobo Brazil is the world champion.
WWA champion, right?
It doesn't say WWA, just world champion.
Well, but world champion, right. But that was the WWA. Could that be 1968 or 69 or 70?
Friday, March 8th, 1968.
There you go.
Charter member of the WWA, the Worldwide Wrestling Associates.
And what was the opening match that was written in that would have given it away for me?
Ricky Ronaldo lost to Mr. Moto. As soon as you heard Moto, you would have known where it was.
Well, yeah, but I as I said, I knew once you got to Gomez, Tolosan, and Blassie and Bobo, it had to be the Los Angeles territory, and 10,527, that's the only place in the Olympic that they could have put that many people in. I mentioned that it may be $10,527 because I have a couple of programs that I got from not only Gordon Soley's collection, but also from a guy that had gotten them from Boyd Pierce. And when the offices sent programs to other offices, they would write down the house, because my Amarillo program that was sent to the Florida office, and Gordon Soley had it in his collection, it was written in sellout and like $8,700 rather than the attendance, because all the promoters wanted each other to know what kind of money they were doing. So sometimes you will see something like that.
I actually thought before I got to Blassie versus Bobo that there was a chance you could have thought it was Texas.
No, Jane Sherrill could have been anywhere, right? When you got to Alaskan and Pedro Morales, and then when you mentioned Rocky Montero, I'm thinking, was this mid-60s in maybe New Mexico or Arizona? But then once you got to Gomez and Tolos, okay, there we go.
Here's an interesting one. The opening match, one fall, 30 minutes. Juan Hernandez versus Ted Christie. The second bout, Ralph Granillo.
What?
Ralph Granillo or Ralph Granillo versus Enrique Romero.
Ricky Romero, but could that have been Grimaldi?
I don't think so. Granillo. The third match, a special attraction. It's a trophy match. Joe Blanchard versus Tony Martin.
And Tony Martin, of course, Tom Renesto.
And the main event, 2 out of 3 falls, 1 hour time limit. John Tolos and Tom Rice versus Rocky Valentine and Prince Maiyava.
Okay, hold on. Rocky Valentine, is that Buddy Fuller?
I actually don't think he is the Rocky Valentine here. I was thinking it may be a different Rocky Valentine.
Okay. Tom Rice was a wrestler in the 60s from Alabama and later on quit the business and became a member of the Alabama, House of Representatives or Congress or whatever. He had a political career. Rocky Valentine, was that the name that Buddy Fuller used for Jack Pfeffer when he wanted to make him a Valentine brother? Was it Cowboy something Valentine?
I have one of those programs over here. Now you're messing me up. Actually, I think, and I could be wrong, I was thinking this was Johnny Valentine.
Joe Blanchard.
Actually, there's a picture right here on the cover. It's Johnny Valentine.
So they're just calling him Rocky.
Cowboy Rocky Valentine.
Huh.
Says cowboy in quotes.
Ted Christie, that could be anywhere. Vic and Ted Christie were big in California in the 40s and 50s. Enrique Romero, that's Ricky Romero, that's early, it's not Texas, or not the West Texas, I don't think, because, go ahead.
And I should clarify here because I think some fans probably thought I mispronounced it. I didn't mean to say Prince Maiyava. I said Prince Maiyava. Different guy.
Nef Maiyava, right?
Right.
So, because it's not Peter Maivia. That's when they named Peter Maivia, they named him after the only Samoan that they could think of in wrestling up to that point, which was Nef Maiyava, but nobody knew how to spell it or pronounce it. John Tolos in his younger days, Joe Blanchard and Tom Ernesto in their younger days. This has to be the late 50s or early 60s at most recent, but I'm thinking it's in the 50s. And this is Texas or somewhere out west, but is it West Texas?
It is not.
Is it anywhere in Texas?
It is not.
God damn you. Is it anywhere in New Mexico or the southwestern states?
It is not a part of the southwestern states, any southwestern state territory that I know of.
Okay, then one more question. Would this be considered more of an outlaw independent promotion of the time, or was it a legitimate promotional territory?
A legitimate territory. I'm not saying this was the main town of the territory. That's why if you just named the territory, that would be fine.
Yeah, it's a spot show.
This is a spot show.
God damn, this is a weird, but it's very Texas centric, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say then the Pacific Northwest.
Here's a picture of Prince Big Head Maiyava. San Bernardino, California.
Son of a bitch.
Saturday, December 31st, 1955.
Okay, I had the era right, but I would not have got that in a million years.
Would you have gone to that show on New Year's Eve?
Probably not.
Jim, our next card, the opening match, and I have the results here in the program, a draw between Mike Riker and Prince Pullens. Half-Beast Man Firpo defeated Rene Goulet.
What else did Bob Luce have to say?
Blackjack Lanza defeated Louis Martinez. We had a no contest in a tag team match. The Skullmen, Mad Dog and Butcher versus Wilbur Snyder and Pat O'Connor. Cowboy Watts versus Lars Anderson. And finally, the main event, Edouard Carpentier versus the mysterious Dr. X.
Oh, well, we're in the Midwest, and my question is it Chicago or is it a Vern town?
Well, remember, Vern did own a piece of Chicago, so you do.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That.
Is it a completely wholly owned subsidiary town of the AWA, or is it Chicago, where Vern was involved, but so was Bruiser and Snyder and Bob Luce? And I have to, the way you described Furpo, I'm going with Chicago, the International Amphitheater, and I'm going to say it was in 1969.
It is the International Amphitheater in Chicago, Tuesday, March 18th, 1969.
Bam!
This would have given it away if I told you about an advertisement here for a once-in-a-lifetime Vern Gagne tour to sunny Spain and Portugal. April 23rd to May 7th, 2 fun weeks. Right for a colorful brochure today, Vern Gagne Tour, and it has an address here in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The Dickman Hotel has a little picture of Vern, and it says, "Come on along."
Do you think Vern actually went on that trip with people?
Was this a way for Vern to get a free trip? I mean, I would never put that past a wrestling promoter.
The Dickman Hotel, by the way, was a Y, D-Y-C-K, right?
Yes.
Because they had a lot of class.
Nah.
No regular I dicks. They had a Y dick.
Hammond, Indiana, wrestling dates. Hammond Civic Center. Buy tickets now. Saturday, March 8th and Saturday, March 22nd, and watch the show Sunday, Monday, Thursday. It was on 3 days a week?
Yeah.
Wow.
Chicago? Are you kidding?
Girls, while they last. King of Sport charms.
Girls while they last.
10-karat gold-filled wrestling charms. Plus, King of Sport tie tacks for men and boys. Only $3.98, tax included. You get them from the office.
Well, I don't need tax. I can keep it on myself.
It's interesting. You can get it from the office. Boyd Pierce was selling them to the office. I'm assuming they're from Boyd Pierce if it's all these little things with Wrestling King of Sport on it. He was selling it to Vern in the office. That's interesting. All right. One more program here. Is this the only place the card's listed? No. There's a card on the cover and there's a card on the inside. The inside's the spot show, I think. The outside is also the outside. No, it's the same card. What the fuck is this? All right, here we
just wrap it up there, Skippy.
Chatty Yakuchi versus Pedro Valdez. Bob Armstrong versus the Challenger. Rip and Randy, the Tyler Boys, versus. There's nothing listed here. Like it just says versus, and then there's a line to go to the next match. There's nothing there. Nick Bockwinkel versus Joe Scarpa. Carl von Stroheim versus Professor Kimura. El Mongol and Leo Garibaldi versus Buddy Colt and Homer Odell. And the main event...
The General.
The main event, no time limit. Dr. Bill Miller versus Doug Gilbert, the Professional.
Well, we're in Georgia.
Yes, we are.
And I'm going to say that is either 19... What?
Let me just say here, because I'm looking through the program, the reason there's nothing listed for the Tyler Brothers, it's their debut. I guess there was nothing planned yet. But it says Tyler Brothers debut.
Okay. I'm going to say 1969 or 1970. And we're in Georgia, and I don't know if that's the Omni or if it's the City Auditorium in Atlanta, or I don't know if it would be another one of the towns. That sounds like an Atlanta card at the time. So 68 or 69 in Atlanta at the City Auditorium, because they weren't running the Omni yet.
Friday, May 29th, 1970, Lakewood Park.
Shit! Outdoors. I forgot about that. Lakewood Park outdoors. Was that Memorial Day weekend?
May 29th, it may have been.
Probably makes sense. Go outside, Memorial Day weekend, big wrestling show.
Hey, listen to this one. I'm not going to make you guess this one, but it's interesting just because of what it is. Here are the matches listed for this show. It is Clovis, New Mexico, June 30th, 1967. Jerry Kozak versus the Duke. 2 out of 3 falls or 1 hour time limit. Dory Funk Sr. and Gory Guerrero versus the Alaskan and Mad Dog Maurice. And finally, a 9-man Russian roulette battle royal. The last man gets $500. That's how you run a small show.
And that's the card, yeah. Well, here's the thing. Kozak and the Duke, you've got 2 guys. Dory Funk Sr., and owns the territory. And Gory Guerrero is Eddie and Chavo's, the Guerrero's father. I don't think Mad Dog Maurice was Mad Dog Vachon. I think that was some friend of theirs. So there with a tag and a fucking single match, you've got 6 guys, book 2 underneath guys and put the manager in the fucking thing, and you got a 9-man battle royal, and you only have to pay 9 people and a referee. There you go.
Bring a friend to wrestling every Friday night. Try our concessions. Your favorite beverage. Hot dogs, popcorn, and candy. That's all it says. And then finally, there's actually an article here. Hillbilly Scuffler going great. Comes to Clovis soon. About Big Bad John, the handsome scuffler from the hills of Kentucky.
Oh my God.
The most amazing young warrior to hit wrestling's big time in the last quarter of a century. Wow.
Have you ever heard anybody call Big Bad John handsome?
Big Bad John, the handsome scuffler from the hills of Kentucky. Well, who wrote this?
And what he did when he was young, you see the old pictures of Big Bad John, and he didn't have the big belly. He was a little leaner, but he had slicked back hair, and he did look like one of the Kentuckians from those days, Grizzly Smith or Luke Brown or whatever, with the long hair, and he was so, big, but, Big Bad John. Then later, about 3 years later, he was a fucking Hell's Angel.